Today's daf is Maseches Nedarim Daf Lamed Hey. We are at the top line, the first word on the line. So the Gemara is going to ask now a kasha. Gemara declared before, if a madir asks something about hana on his friend, which is the moider, and he asks him, let's say, on a kikar, a specific kikar, asks him hana, and then he decides to give the moider the kikar as a gift. He decides to gift it to him. So the Gemara declared the shaila is that iser hana that the madir made, is that still there after he even gives it to the moider as a gift. So Rava held that even if he gives it to matana, still it's asa. So the Gemara is going to ask on that. Eisvei, correcting Gemara shaila. We learned in a brayso. Amaloi Reuben tells Shimon, Hashileni parascha. Could you lend me this cow that's standing right here in front of us? Amaloi Shimon tells him, Kainim parashani kalancha. So Shimon tells him, you know what? This par that belongs to me should be asa on you with a nether. Or he tells him, Nechasei alecha, my nechasim, whatever I own is asa on you. So im yeshli para elazu. He said the nether is chal if I have a para besides for this one. Hashalena kardumcha zokta brayso, or a similar case if he tells him, could I lend me your axe? Reuben tells Shimon, can I borrow your axe? Amar lo, so Shimon tells him, he tells him that this axe that I own should be asar on you by no. Nechasei alech or my nechas should be asar on you. Yeshli kardum alazeh. If I have another kardum, then the nether will be chal and it'll be asar on you. So the din, what's halach in all these cases? The nimtza sheyesh loi b'chayav, and it comes out at a certain point in his life. We actually found out, you know what? He did have another power. He did have another kardim. The halacha is that the madir aser, then the moider, which is Reuven in this case, is not allowed to have anah. Mace, what happens if Shimon, who made the nether, the madir, he died, Aishin the son-in-law, he gives it to the moider b'matana as a gift, hareza mutter. Then the moider is mutter to have anah from it. So what do you see over here? Bingo. You see not like Rava. Rava said you give it as a gift to still us, the Isser nether still blives. Over here you see clearly that the Isser nether goes away if he gives it to him as a gift. No, the Bryce is talking about that he gave him the para al yedei achar. That first the madir gave it to someone else, a third person, and that person went ahead and gave it to the moider. So the madir didn't give it directly to a gift as a moider. So in that case, even Rava will be moider, since there's another person, there's a third person that's coming in over here in between them. And it wasn't gifted directly from the madir to the moider, so Rava would be masking in that case that the moider is allowed to have anah. So mainly you don't have a raya. Amar Rashi says, I'll bring you a raya that's the case that this Bryce is talking about. Tani shenitna loy. The Bryce says shenitna, it was given to him. Is mashma that what? It was al yedei achar. But like Tani shenasna loy, it doesn't say shenasana loy that the madir gave it to him. Zaktin Gemara weiter. Boy mine. The Gemara is clearing a shaila. Boy mine Rava Rav Nachman. Rava asked Rav Nachman. Yesh me'ila b'kainamis. Is there a me'ila by kainamis? So it means if you made a nether, making a nether, the normal lashon usually we say kainim, right? That's what we find all over Nedarim so far. So somebody says, for example, kikar kainim kikar zu. So kainim is really like a nickname for bringing a carbon, like the Gemara said in Daf Yud, that if you have a no from a kikar, if you said kainim, then you chayv an asham me'ilah like your ma'al kachim. I'm sorry, no, the Gemara did not say that. But it is a lashon carbon. So the shali here now, Rava asked Rav Nachman, is yesh be'ilah kainamos. If someone's ma'al in this nether, which said kainim gigazalai, is that considered that he's ma'al be hektish and he should be chayiv a asham me'ilah like he's being ma'al kachim? I like, or no, it's not considered me'ilah in hektish. Why? because Me'ila is only Shaykh and Hektish, something that's really real Hektish, that's Asr on the whole entire world. Mashenka Nedarim is only Asr on a specific person. So it's different. So that's the Gemara Shaila. Is there a Chiyav Me'ila on when a guy says Kainim or not? Zok the Gemara, Amar Lei. So Renachem wanted to push this from a Mishnah. Tinisua, we learned in the Mishnah, Daf Lamed Gimel Medalf. Legabi the din that it's mutter matir, it's mutter for a madir to meshiv to a meider and aveda. So the Mishnah said, Makom shenoitin aleh sachar, in a place where they charge a fee for hashavas aveda, and the matir is meichel his schus to take the schar. In that case, the moider is not allowed to keep the money by him. Why? Because he's getting hana from this from the madir by him letting him keep his money. So rather, what do? What did the Mishnah say? The Mishnah said, "Tibal an Allah hektish." Let that go to hektish. That money that he's supposed to give as a fee for returning the aveda, that should go to hektish. So the Gemara is pointing out that the Mishnah said that she give the schar to hektish, and it didn't say he should throw in the money to the Yam HaMelech and just get rid of it. L'meim rozak the Gemara ki hektish. It's coming to tell you that dinah kainimis l'chayr is like hektish. Ma hektish yeshu milah, just like hektish milah. Af kainamis yeshu milah. So don't you see from the fact that it told you, and therefore, and since it's daimah hektish, so that's why the Mishnah said the way to get rid of that schar that he's supposed to give for Aveda. So even though, right, so that's what the Mishnah says, although you could just get rid of it, like you could just throw it in the Yam HaMelech, you could throw it in the garbage and never see the money again. But they chapped on giving it to hektish because we're talking about kinamis, which is similar to hektish. So that's how you want to be placed. That's how Rav Nachman told Rav, I'll be placed to Shaila, is yesh milu kinamis or emila. He's saying, l'chor, you see from this, is yesh milu kinamis, because you see that kinamis, you see from the Mishnah that kinamis is similar to hektish. Zok the Gemara, kitanoi. The Gemara wants to say, l'chor is a machlokes tanam if there's mi'ilah in koinamis. Because the Brisa says, kainim kikar zu hektish. If somebody says that this kikar says kainim kikar zu hektish, he wants this kikar should be like hektish, that it should be asr mamash like hektish, shakul yalma. Va'achala, and a person eats it. Bein chaveri, whether it's him, the guy that made the neder, or if somebody else eats it, the halach is moal. Whoever eats it got a iser me'ilah, and he's chayav to bring a carbon asham because there's me'ilah and kanamis. Lefichach yesh lo pidyon, and since this kikar is asar kula alma kahektish, the halacha is that it has pidyon like hektish, and you could take off the kedusha that way. You could redeem it. So that's if he says kikar zu hektish. But if he says kikar zu alai hektish, excuse me. If he says kikar zu alai hektish, it's on me hektish, he's only asking on himself. V'achalahu, when he eats it, halach is mal. Chaveroi, whatever his friend eats it, loy mal, because he never asked it on his friend, or lefichach, and therefore, since it's not mamash dami de hektish, it's not asar on the ganze welt. So, even though if he would eat himself, he would have a iser mi'ilo. However, ein la pidyon, there is no pidyon. Why? Because the kedusha is not chomer like hektish, where it's asar on everyone, that you could mafki it and make it bicha on money. So that's Rameir Shita, Divrei Rameir. And the Chacham say, Benkach or Benkach, whether you asked it on yourself, or you said Koinim Olai only, or you said Koinim on the Gansavot like hektish. Loi Ma'al halacha is that whoever eats it, doesn't make a difference who, there's no Ism Elo. Why? If you say Elo Koinamis. So that's what Chacham say, Elo Koinamis. Kumtais machlokes Rameir and Chacham l'chayr in this Mishnah is mamash this nidin. Is there milu kanamis? There's no milu kanamis. Okay, so Zok the Gemara weiter. So come Tois, that the Gemara is saying, or Meir holds Yesh Milu Kanamis. So L'chayra, in the din of Yesh Milu Kanamis, there is two ifanim basically how you can have Milu Hektish. Either you eat it and you mafsin mum Hektish. That's one way to be Milu Hektish. Or you could take it out of the Rishus Hektish into another Rishus. So the Gemara is going to declare now in that second oifen where you're being moil b'hektish al yedei, taking it out of Rishus Hektish. Amarli Rabacha b'der Rav Avi Rabashi. Rabacha Rav told Rabashi. According to Rameir, it says Yeshim Lukonomis. So if somebody tells his friend Kikari Alecha, when the son-in-law, he tells him my bread is asar on you, when the son-in-law, and then he gives it to him. He gives it to the meider as a gift. So l'chayr in this case, it's considered a meila. He's taking it out of his own rishos and he's giving it to the meider. L'chayr should be meila, just like in moel behektish alidei it's our rishos l'shos. So the Gemara is clearing as a mimal. Who's moel in this transaction? Limoil noisin is the one that's giving it to the one that is giving the gift. He's taking it out of the rishos, so maybe he does a meila. That's not possible because the kikar is not also on the one that's giving the gift. He just made the neder on the other guy. So l'chayr it's not shaykh him to have milah. Limo makabel. We want to say that the one that's receiving the gift has a isam milah. Him being zaycha from going out of Rishus Hektish. L'chayr it's also shver because yachod amar the makabel could say the one that's accepting the gift heter b'isi. He could say, Be'eter b'isi, I only want to be zoich in things. I only want to accept things that it's permitted. It's mutter. Yisur la b'isi. But a cheftze isser, I don't want to be zoich. So, since if he could say, if I would have known you're giving me cheftze isser, you're gifting me cheftze isser, something that's a isser, neder, or whatever, a kainim, and me'ilah, l'chayr could say it's a schia b'toyis and it's not a schia. So if that's the case, then the chavetz never went out of its original rishus, so there's no milah b'chlal. So Manashach declared to Gemara, according to Rameir, that Kainamis has a din me'ilah. L'chorah, how is it shaykh? And in this case, who gets the ism me'ilah? So Rav Ashi answered him, Amar lei, Mekabel mal k'sheyotzi. He's like, you're right. In the Maisa Nesina that the Mother gave it, which is a Noisin, gave it to the Makabal, you're right. There's taka no Me'ilah involved in that transaction. A Makabal Malak Sheyotzi. However, when the Makabal, if he takes it and then and then he takes the gift and then he uses it, whatever, it goes out to chulin. So the Makabal uses this money that he received, which is kainamis, and he makes chulin out of it. He tries to buy something with it, whatever. That even if it's b'shoigig, there's a halacha that the over an ism ilah. So in Mela, that's the Gemara saying. This guy is Makabal kainamis. He's moil when he tries to use it for something else that's not hektish, and that's when that's considered to be moitzim rishos hektish. Although even if it's a shegig, that's the halacha. Zokt the Mishnah Lamed Hein Beis. The Mishnah is going to discuss other halachas that you have when someone's moidar anah. V'torim es trumasa imasorisav. The halacha is that it's mutter for the madir, one that makes a neder. If he makes a neder on a moider, he asks him whatever the neder is. I guess the Gemara is going to discuss. Rashi says the Gemara is going to discuss it. So he's allowed to to separate the trumas maestris of the person he made a neder on, l'daita, with his knowledge, with the moider's knowledge. The makar of alav, and he's allowed to be makar of the karbanas for the moider. For instance, like what? Kine zavin, That's the birds for a zav, or kine zavos, kine yoldois, or the chatayis hashamis that they bring. Umalamde medrash halachas agados. The madir is allowed to teach the moider medrash. He's allowed to teach him halachas or agados, since limanat Torah is a mitzvah and mitzvah slav lehanis netnu. And another reason why he's allowed to teach him is because you're not allowed to really accept payment for teaching somebody medrash halachas and agados. So the moider is not really having any hana, a momentous hana, because it's not something you could charge for anyway, for teaching somebody Torah. However, so you could teach him medrash halachas agados, but the moider cannot teach a moider mikra in a place where they take schar on it. Since if he teaches him for free, he's saving him that money that he would have to pay somebody. However, he could be malamed the kids of the sons and daughters of the moider mikra. He could teach him mikra, since the father does not have any enough from it. And although he's mitzvah to teach his kids Torah, and the mother is doing that for him, that's not a hana which is asar on the moider. Because it's just a mitzvah that he has that he's chayav to teach his kids. So it's mitzvah. And this that he's holding back the fact that he does not have to be busy and with the bother and the tercha of teaching his kids, that's not considered hana. That's asr. That's just like an indirect hana that he's getting out of it, which is mutter also. Zok the Gemara. The Gemara wants to know like this: Hani kahani, these kahanim that are makar karbanos and beis hamikdash, shluchi didan havu, are they considered our messengers of the owners of the carbon? Since we have the chiv or karbanos on us, and they're bringing the carbon for us because they're the kahanim, they're the ones who do the work. They go into the beis hamikdash. Oy shluchim d'shmaya, are they shluchim of shamayim? They're kadosh baruch hu shluchim to be makar karbanos that have to be brought to the beis hamikdash. So that's Gemara's clear. Lamai nafkamina, what's going to be nafkamina? Lemudar hana. If somebody is moider hana, he asks himself hana from a specific kohen, so is it mutter for that kohen to be makar for him a carbon? See, if you say that the kohanim are shluchim hamahanile, so if he's my messenger, he's doing my job for me, he's representing me in the Beis Hamikdash Kohen, then I'm having a hana from him, that he's doing my shlichus and he's bringing my carbon. It's aser in that case. However, if you say that he's a kadosh baruch hu shliach, so in that case it's a mutter for him to mark of the carbon, since it's not doing the shlichus on the moider. And although he's giving the moider a heter, like they bring the carbon, he's allowed to eat kachim. Machmas, he brings the carbon, let's say. That's only weiter. It's a goyim, and that's mutter. So the Gemara wants to know, what's the answer to this suffix? Are they shluchah d'shmaya or are they shluchah didan kehanim? So Gemara tashma, I'll bring you a raya. The Tanan, the Mishnah says, if somebody is moida mechaveroi, he asks his friend him enough for him makar olav, he's allowed to be makar for him karbanos akin izamim. V'yamrid, and if you say that shluchah didan, there are shluchim kamahani le. So how can he makar his carbon muzayin and the shluchah Hashem? And he's not doing the shlichus in a moedah, so maybe that's why it's mutter. It's like the Gemara of the Tamech, and according to your reasoning, so let the Mishnah say, so if you want to go with this mahalach that they're not a shluchim, they're Hashem shluchim, so there's a listening makar of alav karbanis. Let him just say he's allowed to be makar of his karbanis. Why did the Mishnah chap on specifically? It said specific karbanis. It said karbanis is zav and yeledes. Ella, so the Gemara, what's takapsha? What's takapsha chap on the more specific karbanis? The reason is because the heter is for totally different reasons. Because since these karbanim are not coming to as a kapara on a chet, it's only coming to mata them to go into the Beis Hamikdash and the kachim. and these karbonis are mechusar kapara, which are being mater to yikatzim shoshani. So therefore, it's different from other karbonis. Damar Rabbi Yochanan, hakol tzrichin das. Rabbi Yochanan says all karbonis that you bring need das bailam, and somebody and a third person cannot bring it for the bailam without their knowledge, since it's coming to be mechaper on avera. Chutz mechusar kapara. Rabbi Yochanan said besides to these types of karbonis that we're talking about, the Mishnah list, which is mechusar kapara, you could bring them shalem das bailam. So Rabbi Yochanan is bring a raya sure other maybe carbon albanim albanos vaktanim shenebazos tarzav. Dr. Rabbi Yochanan, how do I know that you can bring it without his knowledge? Is karbonos chus kapar because you see that the person can bring it on his banim albanos vaktanim, and the fact that it says zois toiras hazav by zava yeledes, it says toiras. And that word Torah is coming to be marba, bein gadol, bein katan. And you see that you can even bring it on a katan. It's not a bardas. His father could bring it for him. And just like a father could bring it, and just like we learned over there that a father could bring a carbon for his son, for his son that the katan doesn't have any das. So too, we learn out that you could bring karbonis of mechusar kapara of that type, even on a gadol without their knowledge. So since our mission is talking about karbonis of mechusar kapara, so that the kohen can be makar v'shlem das bailim, and without a shlichus, so you have no raya that it's because he's a shlich of Hashem. Maybe maybe kahana bring karbonis are shluchah didan of the bailim. But over here it's mutter is because he could be mechusar kapara, you can makar without the das bailim. So in Melo, the mother can makarve it on behalf of the mother as well for the same reason, because you don't need the knowledge of the person that it's being brought for. Masha'in other karbonis, maybe I would say no, it's asur because kahana mashlucha didan. So you have no raya, Zakti Gemara. Zakti Gemara me'ata. If you learn like this, like Rabbi Yochanan saying, Rabbi Yochanan that darshan's Torah, but even katana, you don't have to have their katana. They can bring out the karbonis on behalf of katana, even though they don't have das. So Zois Torah Sayaledes, that says in Vayikra Parak Yud Beis Pasuk Zayin Zois Torah Sayaledes. So you should darshan bein katana bein gedola. Also darshan for your ledes, that's a katana or a gedola. So for the Gemara, katana, and if you darshan like that, katana bas leidehi, could you give birth? Vatani Rabbi Kamid Rav Nachman says, Shalish nashim mishamshus b'moich. 3 nashim are mishamshus b'moich. They have to be mishamish mitasan with a moich in order to not get pregnant. Who are they? Katana is one of them. Uberes, a pregnant woman. Umeinika, someone that is a woman that's breastfeeding. And what's the reason? Katana, why? Koshem Tsav Thomas. Maybe she'll give birth and she'll die. So we're afraid that a katana is going to die. So we see from this that a katana cannot have a baby. So Ebezoi, you can't be married from the pasuk katana. So how would you know? How could you tell me that this drasha we said by Zav that's coming to marry, but even a side kat or side katan? You see Tairas, if you learn it like that the Zois Tairas Zav is going on side kat and side gadol. Then l'chayr by Yeledes say the same thing. It's like Gemara, he Zois Tairas Yeledes is taka not coming to Mar Baktana. Rather, it's coming to tell you that the chi of carbon by Yeledes is bein pikachas or bein shaita. The chi of carbon, say if she's all there, or say she's a shaita if she's not there. And although a shaita is part of her mitzvahs, but the Torah is marba her that she has chi of carbon. She can other maybe carbon. Alisha shaita, a person could bring a carbon for his wife that's a shaita that had a baby, that gave birth. Kediver Rabbi Yehuda, like Rabbi Yehuda says. What does Rabbi Yehuda say? The Tanya learned that right. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, other maybe carbon ashal yishtai. Rabbi Yehuda says that a person that is a ashir, he's a rich man, and his wife is chayev in a carbon olav yard, which a carbon olav yard, it depends what you bring, depending on how much money you have. If you're ashir or ani, a ashir would bring a big carbon, a ani would bring a small carbon. So halacha is her husband chayev to bring a carbon ashir if he's a ashir. And even though his wife's a shaita, she doesn't have any nechasim at all. and she's considered aniyah. However, since her husband is chayiv in her karbanos, he has to bring them kifi how much money he has. And so too, a husband is chayiv to bring karbanos, which a wife is chayiv, like a chatayis and like his wife's chatayis and his wife's hashamis. Shekach chaysav law, that's what it writes in the ksuba. V'achrayis de'is licholai min kanvas dana. He's saying that he's going to take care of her, all her chiyuvim, and to bring all the karbanos that she's chayiv on her behalf, even the ones that she was chayiv before she got married. So the fizeh, you could say this, and it says zois teiras, but zois teiras hayaledes is not going on katanataka. You could say that it's going on karbanos of isha shaita that gave birth. That since the chiv karbanos of a woman is mutal on the bow, and it's like you see right in the ksuba, v'achrois the isla chalayim and kadis no. So Mela, he could bring it for his wife, even if she's a shaita and has no das. So that's what Zeis Taras lets me coming to Marba, and that's the Gemara is being miyashav it.